I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. We are engaging in this transmission this day of your time to discuss the principles, concepts, ideas that you have just listened to in this particular collective work that you have labeled on your planet, The Secret. We recognize that many of you have listened to this work. Many more will be listening to this work. This, of course, for many of you familiar with us, will contain many ideas and principles that will be familiar to you. Concepts that we have discussed and many other beings have discussed in a variety of ways for many years. Regardless of what might seem to be slight terminological differences, slight variations in presentations, you can sense, if you pay attention, that the principles are identical. The idea here to pay attention to most is that your civilization has arrived in its evolution of consciousness at a place and a time where a compilation like this, where a work like this can be created, has been created, and is spreading among your people. This simply indicates that you now have at your disposal, at your fingertips, a tool that you have created collectively from your collective consciousness that is designed, as we spoke of last night of your time, to function as a very, very strong and general representative permission slip to allow you to give yourselves permission to become more of who you are. In listening to that recording, the idea is to allow yourself to treat it, if you will, as a meditation, and to allow yourself to recognize what is familiar and to lock onto what is not and incorporate those ideas in one overall comprehensive and cohesive arrangement of these concepts that have been being discussed for many years. We congratulate your civilization for having arrived at a place where now this kind of idea can be produced in your society and can be met with resounding reception, for many, many beings find themselves attracted to this. And you have seen this demonstrated on many levels of your media, where this idea is not only talked about in this format, but you are witnessing many other similar formats coming up from many different people who now are also recognizing these ideas are at the core of how to attract, how to create, how to manifest, how to experience the reality you prefer, that you believe is most harmoniously aligned with the being that you prefer to be, with your true natural self. There are no discrepancies between this work and anything we have said. If you feel that there are, this is simply terminological and semantic. We recognize that they may be using slightly different words, but in your soul and in your heart, you know they are saying exactly the same thing we have been saying for 23 orbits of your time. The idea is that when they say, your thoughts will create this, your thoughts will create that, you know what they are saying is, your beliefs are doing this. Just because they use the word thought does not mean the concept is different. Do not make a difference where none exists. This is our first recommendation. When you listen to these ideas, allow yourself to bring to bear what you know to be true, and apply the interpretation necessary to bring the way they are saying it into focus and into alignment with what you know to be true in principle. It doesn't matter that the words may be slightly different. It's the same idea. Identical. Identical. Now, the one thing that is also additionally wonderful about this is that you now have this available to you on a daily basis. And we would suggest that for those of you that may feel that you find it difficult to, quote unquote, maintain a connection with these ideas, we would suggest that you avail yourself of this tool every single time, any single time you feel your focus waning, you feel yourself doubting, you feel yourself creating negativity. You have this now at your disposal in what for you is a technologically convenient form. And here really is the crux of the issue. How interested are you in changing your life? Really? Because again, as was said there, and as we have said for 23 orbits, your behavior, your actions are the key. You have heard in the segment that you just listened to, the individuals say, well, here is the secret to the secret. And they then discuss the idea about state of being, that you can simply choose to be happy for its own sake. And you can. We have said this many times, without needing any other reason to do so. But now we would also like to share with you that there is also another secret to the secret. And if you wish, as an addition to what has been said in your recording, I could say then that there is a secret to the secret to the secret. Now, it's not that this was not said over and over and over again by us in the recording and by many other people. But it was said in ways that may not allow you to recognize it for what it is. It was said in general ways. It was said in illustrative ways. It was said in anecdotal ways. But now we are going to tell you very plainly, there is an underlying concept here that many of you may be missing out on because it hasn't been said plainly. Because we understand that because of many of the definitions and belief systems that many of you have been raised with, that some of those definitions may act as a filtering system that will not really allow you to hear clearly what the underlying fundamental concept here is. We know that many of you get it when we say, follow your passion, act on your passion. And when you have heard others say, follow your bliss, act on your excitement, act on your passion, behave as if. We know that you believe you get that much. But at the same time, in many of the discussions we have had with many of you, we also hear the idea of putting your trust in negativity, of doubting yourself, and saying, well, I am doing my best to follow my passion, but it doesn't seem to be working. Well, I'm doing my best to do this, I'm doing my best to do that. Here's the key that we find, in a sense, is lacking from what the energy is that you're attempting to apply when attempting to follow your passion. It's all well and good to recognize that following your passion, when you recognize it, is the thing to do. But what you may not also understand the importance of is that you also, here it is, are you paying attention? The secret to the secret to the secret. Ears open wide. This is going to sound very simple, but it's very important. When you are acting on your passion, you must also be passionate about being passionate, which many of you are not. When you search for your passion, and then you find something, or you recognize the idea of looking around at any given moment for what excites you the most at that moment, and many of you make an attempt, many of you make an application, many of you do an act, there will still be, according to many of your belief systems, those moments when you go back into, when you choose to go back into many of your negative beliefs, many of your negative feelings, many of your negative thoughts, the things you don't prefer. And this is where it is most crucial to remember that you must also be passionate about being passionate in order to really allow your passion to work. And what this simply means is you don't ever give up. You, at any given moment that you feel yourself waning, look around and use your imagination and create for yourself in that moment an action and a behavior that will take you back into your passion. You must, in that sense, exhibit passion in order to create passion. This is how you bootstrap yourself up the vibrational ladder. To put it in another way, you have heard us say, you have heard them say, when you have a vision, when you have a dream, when you have a picture, when you have a visualization, act it out as best as you can. Do all the things as best as you can to allow yourself to create the frequency of the reality you prefer, even if it isn't literally, physically manifesting yet. This is the willingness to be passionate about being passionate, instead of choosing to feel the idea of the inertia tugging at you from the beliefs you don't prefer. The willingness to act differently regardless of the recognition that you have those beliefs. For example, when you see someone who is truly driven, truly passionate about something, about some career, about some reality, about some idea, you literally see that they are hungry for this manifestation. They are driven. They are obsessed with it. The idea is to become obsessed about being obsessed. To do the things themselves for their own sake of creating passion that will then allow you the opportunity to take that and create the vibrational state necessary to attract what you prefer. So, as we said, here's an example. You have now at your disposal, as we said, this tool called The Secret, and many other tools. Doesn't have to be this, but it's readily available to you all in a very convenient form, so it can be this. But as an example, if you are sitting around looking at your life, looking to be passionate about something, and wondering how to be passionate about being passionate, the idea, again, to recognize is that when you see people who truly are passionate, they are driven at every level, at every stage. So, if it's really that important to you, if it's really that important to you, bless you. If it's really that important to you to create the reality you say you prefer, you will do what it takes You will do anything. You will be hungry to create a vibration of passion within you all the time. Which means that if you have any kind of permission slip or tool available to you, you will use it as often as you can. You will inundate yourself with it until there can be no other thought, until there is no other choice. To put it in pragmatic terms, if you find yourself one day feeling that your energy is waning, listen. Put on your headphones and listen to the secret again. If the next day you find your energy is waning, put on your headphones and listen to it again. And again, 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 until you get it. Until it sinks in, until it becomes second nature, until it becomes your first thought, until you don't think any other way. Inundate, immerse yourself in all the things that are of that nature, to the exclusion of all other techniques, all other offerings, all other tools. If you're really passionate about something, and passionate about being that passionate, you will do what it takes. You will allow yourself to be completely submerged and obsessed with the very idea of creating the state itself that is representative of the reality you prefer. Now, you don't have to do this. It's up to you. But what we are saying here now, and what we will be repeating throughout this particular transmission, is the recognition that whatever stage, whatever level of frequency, whatever level of commitment, whatever level of drive, whatever level of hunger you decide you choose to have for being passionate is completely what will determine the level of reflection you get, the level of effect you get. So if you say to yourself, I don't have to listen to that again. I already know it. Still not working for me. I'm still not happy. Still not getting the reality vibration. Still not creating the state of being I want. But I don't have to listen to that again. Then that's the state you will remain in. When you remember a time when you became passionate about something, anything, you couldn't get enough of it. Every day, every waking thought, you ate it, you drank it, you breathed it in. You looked for anything that had to do with that thing, to learn more, to feel more, to absorb more, to immerse yourself, surround yourself more with that idea. The idea is that in and of itself, that activity in and of itself of immersing yourself in a passionate state is paramount, is very important to the generation of attracting all the things that are then representative of that passion. So if you're not going to be passionate about being passionate, you are going to remove for yourself a very strong stepping stone, a very strong connective link to attracting the things themselves that are representative of your passion. Does this make sense to you?
Hi, Bashar. It's really exciting to communicate with you in this way.
Good day, good day. It is exciting for us as well.
So my first question is about astral activities and what people are doing together in preparation for contact on the higher levels. I had a really, really lucid dream where I was going into some sort of courtyard and I was with lots of people from all walks of life, such as doctors, some politicians, some religious people, farmers even, literally every walk of life. And I remember sort of standing next to somebody and asking and saying to them, wow, with these sorts of people here, we're really going to make some progress moving forward towards contact. I was just wondering if you could share your reflection on that experience and kind of where we are at the moment.
All right. Understand, of course, as we have said, in spirit, before you incarnate, you plan out, generally speaking, and sometimes very specifically, your physical life path. But your physical life path is intertwined with all other life paths. So in astral form, many times you will reconnect with all of the others who you have agreed to intertwine with in their life paths with yours, and you will assess what is going on. You will allow yourself to congregate in a way so that you can allow yourselves to adjust your energies and frequencies to make sure that the life path blueprints you have all agreed shall unfold in physical reality, are still moving forward in that way. Agree to make whatever adjustments energetically or physiologically are necessary in your blueprint for the things to unfold as you have all concurred and agreed that they shall. So many times in astral form, you will have these so-called conclaves to make sure you are all still moving forward together, that everything is coherent and cohesive, and it will unfold in physical reality and manifest in physical reality as you all intended. That is what is going on in that case.
Thank you so much for that clarification.
Yes.
My next question is about step 2 of the social experiment. One of the aspects talked about is meditation. So I've been sort of really enjoying getting into sort of doing about an hour or 45 minutes a day of meditation, sometimes more. And what I've started to discover is an energy that comes down through either my crown or the pituitary gland, and it's almost like a quasi-physical energy, it feels like, and it kind of filters down into my head and makes me feel very deeply relaxed, and also seems to emphasize my psychic abilities and things I can pick up and visions and that kind of thing.
Yes.
When with this sort of experience, sometimes I can get, it almost feels like a hole is opening up in the center of my head, and my consciousness is kind of getting pulled sometimes towards other consciousness. Could you just help me understand what's happening?
All right. Again, remember, your physical self exists at the center of your soul. It's like you are an energy sphere, that is your soul, and you have certain vibrational patterns that condense in the center of the soul to create this little crystalline solidified version of those energy patterns that you represent as the physical personality. So when you do things that allow you to be back in touch with the vibration of your greater self, your higher mind, your soul, spirit, same thing, you feel it as an energy coming down into you because that's how you relate to the idea of physical reality, as above, so below. But what's really happening is you are expanding and softening the idea of that concentration of yourself as a physical personality and starting to soften and expand back toward the idea of the soul. And so it does feel like the opening of a hole because you are expanding, you're opening up, you're allowing more of your soul to express itself through the physical personality, through the physical form. That's what you're experiencing, is the expansion of your bandwidth, the expansion of your energy, expressing more of who you are as a soul so that you can use and apply it in your physical reality in more effective and synchronistic ways.
So when we move forward and our vibration increases, and let's say hypothetically we're at a time in the future where we're having the beginnings of contact, will that sort of state of being and those sorts of feelings be much more sort of stable and in place during each of our days, kind of thing? Something we'd be used to?
Yes, you'll get used to it.
Right, okay. Well, thank you so much for clarifying everything today.
It is our passion and our pleasure. We thank you for the co-creation. Aveo. Good day.
Ta'atu.